During my junior year in high school, when everyone was talking about the ACT test scores and what schools they were getting into, I was completely embarrassed when I found out that my secret was out. My boyfriend had shared my low ACT score of 23 out of 36 with his close friends. Of course, people talk, and eventually everyone knew. As if I wasn't struggling with my score already, I was terrified to face anyone at school. The next day, I nervously walked through the lunchroom doors and heard a classmate shout, "Congrats on getting into Virginia Tech." He sounded happy for me, but I knew he had gotten a 28 on the ACT and was put on the wait list. It was clear he was trying to say something more than a simple congrats. This clearly terrible boyfriend of mine later mentioned that the entire 7th period shop class was making fun of my intelligence. One guy said, "The only reason why she got in to all the schools that she applied to is because she's Hispanic and has a lower bar to meet." My heart sunk. For the first time, reality hit me. Even though most of my friends were white, they never mentioned anything related to the color of my skin. But it was clear that our relationship was being affected because of this. I just couldn't help but think. Here I was, thinking we were one and the same, when in reality they were one and I was different. I came home emotionally exhausted that day. I walked straight into my room, dropped my bag on the floor, and flopped onto my bed. I barely took a breath and immediately saw my mom standing under the doorway with a letter in her hand. The letter was from Brigham Young University. I got in. I was admitted. She rushes over and hugs me. I quickly reach for my phone and text my older brother to let him know the news. He quickly texts back and says, "Congrats, Genesis. You deserve it." Everything around me said, "Be excited." But the comments made earlier that day made that excitement quickly fade. The congratulations from my sweet family just didn't feel well deserved. It felt like I was lying, like I was lying to them. With BYU's average ACT acceptance score of 28, did I really deserve this? With a 23? I started trying to convince myself. Maybe BYU ignored my low ACT score because they read my essays and they thought they were really good. Maybe they ignored my low ACT score because they saw potential in me. They thought I would do really well there. But no matter how hard I tried to convince myself, I couldn't help but remember the words that one guy said in the 7th period shop class. The only reason why she got in is because she's Hispanic and has a lower bar to meet. At this point, I realized that being Hispanic wasn't just a little box I checked when self-identifying in paperwork. The world knew I wasn't white. And this realization broke me. I became disappointed in who I was. It's not like I chose to be Hispanic. It's not like I wanted to be made fun of, especially when my accomplishments were being taken away from me. With all these thoughts going through my head, I texted my brother letting him know what had happened at school that day. He's always supported my desire to go to college, even though he never had the opportunity to do so, or the desire. He always had the perfect words to say, and this time was no different. He said, "What you've done to make it to this point won't show on that ACT score. You've had to fight for everything you have this far. Nothing has been handed to you, Genesis." Immediately empowered by this reminder, I began to think, I have done so many things to even come close to graduating high school. I thought my classmates, they weren't at McDonald's at 6 a.m. trying to finish their weekly homework assignment. They didn't come home worrying about what they'd have for dinner that night. My classmates, they didn't move from place to place or occasionally live in motels. They came home to a pantry filled with snacks, parents that would be available to help them with their homework, and more than enough money to pay for those expensive college prep courses. See, I had none of those things. To fight the little I had, I was resourceful. McDonald's had my free Wi-Fi. School had my free lunch. After-school programs were the stability I needed when my home life was unpredictable. Despite not being handed these things, they were right at my fingertips. I just needed to work a little harder to use them. The next day, when I walked into school, I felt still a little uncomfortable, but I felt more empowered. I was able to walk the halls and ignore the comments that I overheard or the subtle stares. Sure, I'm Hispanic, but I wasn't going to let that take my accomplishments away from me, something I had absolutely no control over. Yeah, I got into all the schools that I applied to, but it's not because of that little box that I check every time when I fill out paperwork. I got in because I am resourceful. I got in because I am resilient. I got in because I am intelligent. The world knows that I'm not white. The world knows I am Latina, and that is what makes me powerful.